All right, a great win for the Celtics. You could certainly say it's their signature win of the year. Is my microphone should be working? Okay, I think it is. But yeah, signature win of the year. Because you beat a Bucks team that was at full strength. I know Chris Middleton left in late in the game in this one, but for all intents and purposes, this was a Milwaukee Bucks team that had their championship core. Middleton, Antetokounmpo, Holiday, Portis. This is more or less the team that they won the title with last year. Some pieces in, some pieces out, but this was the core. Their big three was active for this game. When you faced them earlier in the year, you did beat them in overtime, but it was a shell of that team. So this was and not only did you beat a really good team at full strength, but you beat a team that's been playing excellent basketball. Milwaukee's been playing great as of late. And you've been coming off the Celtics coming off of a terrible West Coast road string. So two teams sort of going the opposite directions. And what do you know? The Celtics end up winning that game. Sometimes the NBA is hard to predict in that way, but a big lift was because Jaylen Brown returned tonight, and that seemed to lift not just the quality of basketball for the Celtics, but the overall spirits of the team. Obviously, you seem happier when you're winning a game, and the Celtics were winning this game for a large portion of it. And so the mood seems a lot better. But I do think Jaylen Brown is one of the emotional leaders of the team. He may not be their best player. To me, he's their second best player, but I think he's more vocal than Jason Tatum. Not saying that you have to be vocal to be a leader, but I just think that with all the things Jaylen Brown's done in the community, he's been on the team for one more year than Jason Tatum. I think that they look at him as one of the main leaders of that team, and somebody that a lot of the players on the team, respect and look up to. I'm not saying they don't feel that way about Tatum. I just think that it goes even more so with Brown. So I think just the fact that he was back and in uniform tonight provided a lot of stability and confidence for the team. And he played really well. Got a scare early on when one of his first plays of the game, he seemed to tweak his knee. Fortunately, he came right back into the game after that, after about like 2 minutes of sitting on the bench, and was fine. And he played a really good game, a very, very solid game. We'll get into the box score in a minute, but his presence helped not just make the team feel good and help the ball move around better, but it improved what you're trying to do on both ends of the court because he's a two-way player. He's an excellent defensive player, and he's also an excellent offensive player. So take some pressure off of Jason Tatum. You saw it tonight as he had a monster game because he wasn't being the only guy keyed in on defensively by Milwaukee. And so, anybody who thought that the team was better without Brown, that is foolish. Maybe for, a game or two, Tatum could just go, bananas and the ball movement, the ball wouldn't have to move because Tatum's playing so well. But in a larger sample size, you want both these guys out there. Obviously, you're better when you have more good players. That's just a fact. So yeah, at 1-17, 103 is the final score. A little bit tighter than that, but overall, the Celtics had a pretty comfortable 8 to 12 point lead throughout this game. And I should say, from the first quarter on, they struggled a little bit in the first quarter, as they have virtually all season long, and then played pretty flawlessly there on after. Really, a lot of credit to the coaching staff and the players for making adjustments after that first quarter where they scored 21 points. They responded with the second, third, and fourth quarter, scoring 30 or more in all those quarters, and holding the Bucks to under 30 in all those quarters. So offensive and defensive adjustments after that first quarter, and you get what becomes so far your best win of the season to me by far. Again, because of Milwaukee, how they've been playing recently, and because they had their healthy big three, you can feel really good about this win. Now, I don't know if it's one of those inflection point wins that we've talked about before, where you can sort of rally around that because you're coming off of such a terrible stretch, but you can certainly go into games against good teams now with more confidence, being like, we beat the defending champions. If we play well, if we play to our ability, we can hang in there with really good teams. They've also shown if they don't do that, they can lose to really bad teams. So it goes both ways. But it was an important win because the schedule again, it's not getting any easier. You see this Milwaukee team again next week in Milwaukee. You have the Warriors coming up on Friday. You got the Knicks coming up soon. You have a tough schedule. And so you couldn't just keep dropping game after game after game after game. You need to beat a good team at some point in there. And this is as good a team as you're going to face in the NBA. And the Celtics took care of business tonight and played a really, really damn good game. They don't make a lot of sense. Leonard saying you're so confused by this team. They are a true enigma. They're absolutely frustrating, confusing. I know you're saying it's an illusion. It gives people false hope. You shouldn't fall into the trap of saying, and I saw the broadcasters doing this, and a lot of people on Twitter were doing this too. Look, Jaylen Brown's back. Everything's right with the world. This team is really good. When he was playing earlier in the season, the team still struggled at times against bad teams and was frustrating. This isn't a cure-all. This isn't a game that's going to turn around the season. That's not what happens. They need to start stringing together wins in order for you to start believing anything in this team. I still think the team, despite the win tonight, should be very active and fielding and trade calls, making a bold move. I think that it's still painfully obvious that the ceiling of this team isn't the championship team. So take a big swing. I'm not going to change my mind because of one really good performance against the Milwaukee Bucks. That would be foolish. I'm going to go based off of the other 25 games that I've seen, which is indicating to me that's more like what the team is as opposed to this one game. That being said, this is a very solid, good win that you can feel good about. So I don't have anything bad to say about their performance tonight because they played a really, really good game. That does make them all the more frustrating at times when they don't. But for tonight, you can feel good about the team. Let's get into the box score here. Again, final score 117 to 103. The Celtics climb back to 500, 14 and 14. Milwaukee is 18 and 11. Jason Tatum, Al Horford, Rob Williams, Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown, your starting lineup tonight. Tatum, 38 minutes, 16 of 25 from the floor, 7 of 13 from 3 of 5 from the free throw line, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals, and a whopping 42 points. Tatum was absolutely cooking tonight. And in the fourth quarter, he really even started to get even hotter. Great superstar level performance from Jason Tatum tonight. He was the best player on the court tonight in a game where the two-time MVP and reigning Finals MVP Giannis Antetokounmpo was on the court. So that says a lot. That Tatum, fantastic game, perhaps his best of the season. Al Horford, 34 minutes, 4 of 9 from the floor, 2 of 5 from 3, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, a block, and 10 points. A lot of work having to guard Giannis and Portis. He did a very nice job defensively. Giannis was fine tonight, but not to his usual standard, just 20 points and 8 rebounds for the Greek Freak. Typically, you'll see that number, closer to 30 and the rebounds in the double digits. So Celtics did a very nice job defensively on Giannis tonight. Not an easy task. Rob Williams was the other guy tasked a lot with that too. Solid defensive performance from Rob Williams. He played 22 minutes, 5 of 6 from the floor, 7 rebounds, and assists, a steal, and a block, and 10 points. Again, was asked to do a lot more on the defensive side of the ball and did a very good job there. Marcus Smart, not a good offensive night, but did move the ball around quite well. 30 minutes for Marcus, 1 of 6 from the floor, 0 of 3 from 3, 5 rebounds, 11 assists, though, and 2 points for Marcus. No turnovers, which is what you really want to see. Celtics as a team, just 11 turnovers tonight. Very, very solid number there. And Jaylen Brown in his return after missing the last 5 games because of the hamstring injury. 30 minutes for Jaylen, which is right about where they wanted him. 6 of 13 from the floor, 3 of 7 from 3, hit all 4 of his free throws, 5 assists, 4 rebounds, 2 steals, a block, and 19 points in a very, very solid and encouraging return performance from Jaylen. And then you got to mention the play of Grant Williams off the bench tonight. He was terrific off the bench tonight. 29 minutes for Grant, 17 points, 7 rebounds, 1 assist, 5 of 7 from the floor. All 5 of those were 3-pointers. All 7 attempts were 3-pointers, I should say, and gave them a big lift off the bench. Other guys off the bench that played significant minutes. Dennis Schroeder, 25 minutes, returning the bench. Not a good night for him. 2 of 10 from the floor, 1 of 5 from 3, 2 of 2 from the free throw line, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 turnovers, and 7 points. Romeo Langford played 17 minutes. He had 3 rebounds, 2 assists, and 7 points on 3 of 7 shooting. So really, yeah, it was Grant Williams on the bench. The rest of the guys played some garbage time minutes, but we're not going to get into all that. a terrific win for the Celtics, but certainly not something to suddenly gloat about and say, "Look, I told you so." Win. The Celtics have a lot more work to do if they want to gain trust back in the fans and in I would imagine, the coaching staff and the front office. Um, it would go a long way to win that next game against Golden State. If you can beat two of the best teams in the NBA back-to-back games, certainly you might turn some heads. That's not going to be an easy task on Friday, and we'll have to see. One last point I wanted to make. I saw this on Twitter today too, because Grant Williams is having a great game tonight, and he's had a really good season. Has improved a lot, and he's somebody I criticized a lot last season. Now you see a lot of people on Twitter saying people owe Grant Williams a huge apology, this and that. And as far as I'm concerned, I don't think there's any apology needed. Last year, he was calling a spade a spade. He was bad last year. All of his advanced stats, frankly, his regular stats were not good. He projected as a negative player when you a VORP, value over replacement player. That means that he was worse than the average player at his position. And so I think the criticism for him last year was totally fair and valid, and I think he heard it and improved his game this year. So I don't think there needs to be any apology. I think just call it like you see it. Last year he played poorly. This year he's playing well. And when he plays well, I'm going to compliment him. When he plays poorly, I'm going to criticize him. But to say people need to apologize, I think is ridiculous. Credit to him for working and improving his three-point shot to the point where he's become a valuable member of the team and no longer a liability to be out on the court. But he certainly was last year. And to think that he's so valuable that you need to apologize to him for what you said last year, that's ridiculous. It's silly. I don't think he's somebody you can say this is a key guy on our team, and build around him as a really valuable core part of a team. I think because he can hit threes now, has now carved out a niche for himself where he'll be an NBA for a long time, but certainly not somebody that you want to be a top 6 or maybe even 7th guy on a team that's really good. I think I feel comfortable with him as an 8th guy, certainly a 9th guy. I think 7 is borderline. That's where you want him to be, about your 8th or 9th best player. So just a quick tidbit before we get out of here. Again, next game is on Friday, so Celtics have a bunch of days off before they face the Golden State Warriors, who either them, the Suns, or the Bucks are the best team in the league. So the Celtics within a week span is going to get to play all of those teams. And we'll see how they hold up against it. So I'll be back on Friday talking about that game. And thanks everybody for watching now and after the fact. Leonard, appreciate you being in the chat there. And I'll talk to you guys then. See you, everybody.